A humble widow gives a ride to a fugitive bride, not knowing her ex is a dangerous millionaire. Clara had always believed that the best kind of magic was found in her flower shop. The colorful blooms brought a semblance of joy to the sleepy town of Maplewood, and that little haven was where she buried her grief day by day. She lost her husband 3 years ago, and every petal carried a whisper of love, a reminder of what once was. But on that scorching summer afternoon, as the sun beat down relentlessly, the air shimmered with unease, and the mundane moments of her routine were about to shatter. The moment Clara spotted the frantic young woman on the side of the road, soaking in sweat and desperation, something deep inside her felt tugged. Eva's tear-streaked face radiated urgency. Her white dress, which should have been cascading gracefully, now looked tattered and wrinkled, like the fabled princess in the wrong story. Clara was hesitant, but could see the fear in those wide, pleading eyes. "Please, I need a ride," Eva gasped. "They're after me." Clara's heart began to race. The soft clinking of the wind chimes hanging outside her flower shop seemed to pause in shock. She had spent years washing away a heart heavy with sorrow, and the thought of helping someone else threw her into chaos. Yet here was a woman who was clearly in distress. She felt the inner pull of compassion overpower her caution. As they drove down the winding country roads, the car's tires kicked up dust, and a tapestry of wildflowers flanked them on either side. The tension thickened, vibrating between them like a raw nerve. Clara's once steady breaths came unevenly. Each uneven inhale reminded her of everything she had lost, her husband and the peaceful life they once shared. "I can't marry him," Eva blurted out, her voice trembling. "He's not who he seems. He's dangerous." Clara's pulse quickened. Who was this man? And why was she entangled in this whirlwind of chaos? As they shared snippets of their lives, Clara felt a flicker of hope blossom in her chest, a connection founded on shared scars. But that glimmer dimmed when Clara looked in her rearview mirror. Shadows lurked behind them. Black SUVs closed in like wolves, hunting their prey. Panic surged within her, the weight of her heartache mixing with fear. Not only was she helping this woman, but she was also unknowingly stepping into a world where her late husband's dark secrets were crouching. Victor, the millionaire whose name she had heard whispered in the dark corners of town. The revelations crashed down on her like a heavy storm. Clara hadn't just invited trouble into her life. She was now tangled in a web of greed and obsession that had haunted her for years. Time slipped away. The adrenaline flooded her veins, driving her forward, but shadows danced behind, drawing nearer. As they slipped into a secluded stretch of road, Eva's gripping hand caught Clara's damp one, breaking through the haze of fear. "Please, we have to keep going. I have to be free." Clara tightened her grip, battling her own haunting memories while wrestling with the ever-increasing danger surrounding them. Just when it began to feel like a flicker of hope was on the horizon, an ominous revelation lingered in the air. Was there even a way to escape this nightmare? Hey, before we continue with this incredible story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Just take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content coming up. And since you're here, smash that like button, because it really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who is part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Clara tightened her grip on the steering wheel, knuckles white against the leather. The panic bubbling in her chest made it hard to breathe. "Just keep talking, Eva. Tell me what happened," she urged, her voice a mix of desperation and determination. "They were supposed to be my friends," Eva gasped, fraught, tears sliding down her cheeks. "I thought we were celebrating my wedding." But her voice trailed off, dread filling the silence. Suddenly, A loud bang jolted Clara from her thoughts. The rear window shattered, glass exploding like tiny stars in the air. "Go, go!" Eva screamed, her words sharp and filled with panic. Clara didn't need to be told twice. She pushed down on the gas, heart racing like the car's engine. The hum of their tires on the asphalt mingled with the distant roar of the SUVs. Shadows loomed closer in the rearview mirror. Clara's heartbeat thundered in her ears, drowning out everything. She couldn't believe this was happening to her, suddenly shaping her life from quiet widowhood to desperate chase. "Why are they after you, Eva?" she shouted, trying to be heard above the chaos. "It's Victor," Eva sobbed, her face contorting with fear. "He's not just dangerous, he's someone else entirely." And then, without warning, the words tumbled out, secrets born from betrayal. "He's my brother." A cold shadow washed over Clara. The wind in her lungs stilled. "What?" Her voice cracked with disbelief. Everything she thought she knew flipped upside down. "Victor, your brother?" "Yes," Eva cried, desperation clawing at her words. "He's been lying to everyone. He's not the millionaire everyone thinks he is. He's a monster. He wants control over everything and everyone. I had to run. I was escaping from—" Her voice broke, the weight of truth crashing like waves. Just then, Clara felt something cold and hard press against her side. A figure appeared in the passenger seat, a man she had never noticed before. His eyes glinted with a dangerous light, and a smirk curled on his lips. It was Victor. "You should have let her marry me, Clara," he slurred, voice thick with menace. "You have no idea what you've stepped into, do you?" Clara's breath hitched in her throat. "Get out." She didn't recognize the tremor of fear coursing through her, pooling in her gut. But the pressure on her side told her this was no joke. Victor held a gun. "Did you really think you could save her?" he taunted, the smirk never leaving his face. "She's a lost cause. Always has been." "Clara, he's lying," Eva shouted desperately, eyes pleading. "You don't know him. He's not who you think he is." The world seemed to blur around Clara. She glanced at Eva, her heartache mingling with deep-seated fear. Everything she had thought about her life, her loss, hung by a thread. The woman she had taken into her car was linked to the man holding them hostage. "Let her go, Victor," Clara demanded, anchoring herself with an unexpected resolve. Every pulse of her heart, Clara realized she'd been swept into a dance with danger that intertwined their fates forever. "The fun is just beginning," Victor said, his eyes glinting with malice. "Remember, secrets have a way of finding their way to the light." And just like that, U-turns felt like absolute madness. Would they escape? Or was this the start of an even darker tale? Clara's grip tightened on the wheel, but fear clenched around her heart. Could she really save them both? Clara's heart raced as Victor loomed closer, the weight of a cold barrel pressing against her side. The world outside blurred, shadows closing in fast. She could see the black SUVs in the rearview mirror, like dark predators on the hunt. Eva's frantic gasps filled the air, mingling with Clara's own rapid breaths. "What do you want?" Victor's smirk twisted into something darker. "You're in over your head, Clara. You think saving her makes you a hero?" Suddenly, as if the universe snapped its fingers, the entire situation shifted. A blaring horn pierced their fear, and Clara jerked instinctively, steering to avoid a head-on collision with an oncoming car. The sudden movement broke Victor's focus. In that split second, a flash of blue lights erupted behind them. A police car, cutting through the chaos like a lifeline. "Clara, speed up," Eva shouted, panic spilling over. "They can't help us." Clara pressed the gas, her heart pounding against her rib cage, like it wanted to escape. But the darkness behind them surged, gaining ground. Victor's laugh was a chilling sound, echoing in the confined space. "They'll only make things worse, my dear." But then, something unimaginable happened. Through another sweep of the rearview mirror, Clara caught sight of a figure leaping from the back of one of the pursuing SUVs. "What the—" Her voice trailed off as recognition hit her like a brick wall. It was Danny, her late husband's best friend. No way, Clara whispered, disbelief clouding her mind. Danny had been absent for years, too consumed by grief after her husband's death. But there he was, darting through traffic like a ghost from her past. Clara, keep going, Eva yelled, her fingers digging into Clara's arm. You can't trust him. But before Clara could respond, Danny drew near, his face distorted with purpose. He sprinted directly toward the police car, waving his arms in a frantic attempt to gain attention. The siren faded, swallowed by the chaos of their escape. What is he doing? Clara murmured. Hope twisted inside her, clashing with dread. She wanted to believe Danny wasn't there to hurt her. But then the memories flooded back of whispered secrets shared in the shadows after Bill's funeral. The tense exchanges. She'd always thought it was grief. Was it more? The police car turned, sirens wailing. But instead of heading straight toward Clara's car, it veered toward Danny, who was still yelling, his wild gestures a desperate plea. Clara watched as the officer rolled down the window, his eyes fixed on Danny's frantic movements. No, Clara gasped as she caught Victor's sly glance. He's going to... Shut up, Victor barked, shifting his grip on the gun. Focus, Clara. Your little boyfriend will end up as roadkill if you don't keep this between us. Then, without warning, a crack of thunder boomed above them. Rain began to pour, hammering against the windshield, making visibility nearly impossible. It was as if the whole world was ripping apart, drowning out the sounds of their chase. Suddenly, in the swirling chaos, Clara witnessed Danny darting back toward them, waving his arms even more urgently. Danny, no! Clara shouted, her emotions twisting into a knot. What's happening? Then, the unthinkable transpired. In the midst of the rain-soaked frenzy, a gunshot split the air. Clara's stomach dropped as she turned, her heart nearly stopping. Victor had fired, but his aim was not toward her. The bullet struck Danny. Clara's vision blurred and the world spun. She couldn't process it. Danny staggered as if moving in slow motion, his eyes wide with shock as he fell to the ground. The sound of sirens became eerie, swallowed by her racing heartbeat. Clara! Eva gasped, the weight of revelation settling heavily in the air. He's not just a friend, he's part of it. Clara's hands shook on the wheel, tears stinging her eyes as a new horror dawned on her. She hadn't just stepped into danger. She had unwittingly walked into a trap woven from betrayal. Victor's eyes glinted with a recognition that made her skin crawl. You won't escape, not with him bleeding out on the pavement. The words sank in, heavy and suffocating. Nothing about this was what it seemed. Clara felt the walls closing in as she realized. She had to make a choice, one that would shift everything. But with the truth unraveling like a violent storm, how could she possibly decide? Clara's hands shook as she gripped the steering wheel, the reality of the situation slamming down like an iron gate. Danny lay crumpled on the pavement, a silent scream echoing in her mind. Victor's laughter cut through the storm that raged outside, drowning her thoughts in darkness. You really thought you could save her, Clara? He sneered, the gun still trained on her side. But then something shifted. The rain fell heavier, pooling around Danny's still form, washing over the sins of the past with a cold clarity. You took my husband from me, Clara shouted, her breath hitching. You're just a monster, hiding behind money and power. For a heartbeat, everything froze. The world slowed down. There was no escaping the tension tangling between them. Sharp as a knife, Clara's heart thudded, every beat echoing in her ears. What are you hiding, Victor? She demanded, adrenaline igniting a fire within her. Suddenly, the sound of shattering glass pulled her back. One of the black SUVs had rear-ended another, crumpling metal like paper in a fierce storm. Sirens blared louder, slicing the air. Victor's smirk faltered for just a second, a flicker of uncertainty crossing his face. It was almost like he realized this game had turned lethal. Keep driving, Eva screamed, her voice jagged with fear. He's losing it. Where can we go? Clara's mind raced, but paths blurred through the haze of rain and chaos. And then an explosion split the air. A cacophony of flames erupted behind them, light dancing in the downpour. Clara jerked the wheel, eyes wide. What the hell was that? Victor faltered, his eyes darting toward the glowing chaos. No way, they wouldn't. Another series of explosions followed, one after the other, like a twisted celebration of destruction. The SUVs were engulfed, flames licking toward the sky. Clara's breath caught in her throat. Was this a rescue or a trap? "Clara, focus," Eva shouted, but the panic in her voice wrapped around Clara like chains. "Keep driving!" More chaos erupted, and Clara glimpsed shadowy figures emerging from the flames. As rain mingled with smoke, she squinted through the blur. But then, one of the figures stepped forward, eerily calm amidst the storm. Clara's heart plummeted again, forcing disbelief to claw at her mind. It was Bill. "Clara." His voice was steady, cutting through the turmoil, but all Clara could see was the man she had lost. The weight of grief slammed back, a tidal wave of memories cascading through her. But something felt off. Something in his gaze told her this was not just the man she mourned. "Bill, how are you?" But before she could finish her question, Victor's laughter snapped her back to reality. "Did you really think he was dead? You're smarter than that, Clara." Victor's eyes shone with malice. "All these years, I've been waiting for the perfect moment to bring him back. Your precious Bill staged his own death." "No." The word tore from her lips, a desperate plea against the truth that crashed down on her. Bill wasn't just gone, he was complicit in this twisted game. Time slowed. "But why?" Her voice quivered with despair and betrayal. "Why would you do this?" Bill stepped closer, his expression darkening. "To protect you, Clara. I had to keep you safe from Victor." Everything spun. "Safe?" she echoed, disbelief flooding her voice. "From what? You could have come back." Victor's eyes glinted, a wolfish grin spreading across his face. "Oh, but he couldn't, darling. That would ruin the fun." The world around her twisted. Chaos erupted anew. Clara could hardly breathe, caught between love and betrayal. "What's real?" she gasped, looking between Bill and Victor, desperate for answers. In the heart of confusion, the black SUVs ignited in the rearview mirror, flames licking the night sky like a monstrous promise. But amidst the fire, shards of truth began to reveal themselves. "Do you love me? Or have you been playing me this whole time?" Clara's heart thundered like the storm outside, each beat filled with dread. As the figures merged and the truth unspooled, one burning question loomed large. Could she trust anyone at all? Clara's heart hammered against her ribs, suspended in disbelief. "Bill, you faked your death? How could you?" Anguish twisted her voice. She felt hollow, like the world beneath her had crumbled away. Victor's smirk widened, broadening the fracture between her illusions and reality. "I did it to protect you," Bill shot back, eyes fierce and pale. But all she could see were the years lost to grief. "You don't understand. This life, secure?" she spat, cutting him off. "Or twisted? I don't know who to trust." The chaos simmered around them, and the flames in the distance glowed brighter, as if feeding off her desperation. Then, with a guttural roar, the first police car skidded to a stop. Officers sprang out, guns drawn, yelling commands mingled with the din of sirens. Clara's breath hitched. This was supposed to be the rescue. But could it turn into another nightmare? "Clara, focus." Eva's hand grabbed hers, squeezing tight, rooted in the shared terror. She knew they had to move. "Go, drive," Eva urged, eyes fierce with determination. "We can't stay here." But just as Clara pressed the gas, a deafening explosion echoed much closer than before. The ground shook, sending adrenaline racing through her veins. A dark blip in the smoke. An SUV had flipped, rolling onto its side. "Go!" Eva screamed, panic seeping into her voice as Clara reacted, swerving. They narrowly missed the wreckage, heart pounding like thunder in her ears. "Look out!" Victor shouted, sudden fear cutting through his arrogance. Clara blinked, the world blurred, and then Something shattered against the passenger side window. Glass exploded outward in a shower of diamonds, and a massive figure crashed into the car. Bill? No. Victor plowed into the passenger side with furious intent. The gun aimed straight at Clara's head, but before he could pull the trigger, 3 uniformed officers stormed in, materializing from the chaos, weapons drawn. Time slowed to a crawl. "Get out of the car, hands up," one officer shouted, voice steady as steel. The scene became a whirlpool of screams and the shrill wail of sirens. Then it happened. Bill lunged, tackling Victor and sending him crashing against the dashboard. There was a violent struggle, a mix of shouts and flailing limbs. Clara's breath hitched as she turned, her world spiraling into madness. "Stop! Don't shoot!" she yelled, uncertain, desperate, but it unraveled before her eyes. Through the fray, something slid from Bill's coat, gleaming under the swirling chaos. A badge. "I'm with the FBI," he shouted, voice raw, eyes wide with urgency. "What?" Clara's. "You're an agent?" "Clara!" Bill cried out, his voice heavy with an urgency she had never heard before. Suddenly, a more profound revelation struck like lightning. The officers hesitated, confusion wavering in their stance. "We were set to take Victor down," Bill shouted. "This whole thing, it's a setup." "Your setup," one of the officers sneered, suspicious eyes darting between the chaos. "This isn't how it works." "Listen to me," Bill pleaded, face contorted with pain. "You have to trust me. Victor is not just dangerous. He's connected to something far bigger than you can imagine." Clara's vision clouded. She looked to Eva, who stared back wide-eyed. One thought thundered in her mind. Everything had changed. "Then who are you really, Bill?" Silence roared around them, and the truth teetered on the edge, threatening to fall. Who was the real villain? Who could she trust as the world spiraled around her, filled with secrets, danger, and betrayal? The question burned in her mind, each heartbeat amplifying the uncertainty. What now? Clara's heart pounded like a drum against her ribs, each beat a reminder of the chaos swirling around them. Bill's revelation hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. "You faked your death?" She could hardly breathe. Fear coursed through her veins, twisting with anger. The police officers exchanged glances, uncertainty casting shadows on their faces, and Victor's smile faded, now replaced with something darker. "They can't fall for your little act, Bill. You're nothing without me." His voice dripped with venom, and for the first time, doubt crept into Clara's mind. "What do you mean?" Clara blurted, eyes darting between them. "What's happening?" The world felt unsteady and she fought for clarity, but it was slipping away. "Clara," Bill started, desperation sharpening his features. "I had to protect you from this mess, from Victor. If he finds out we're together." His words trailed off, panic dancing behind his eyes. "Together?" The weight of betrayal suddenly sank like a stone in her stomach. "You mean you planned this?" Before he could respond, Victor erupted with laughter, dark and wild, echoing off the rain-slicked streets. "Together? You've missed the point, Clara." He leaned closer, eyes glittering. With malice. Bill here was always part of the game, even in death. Clara's breath hitched, her world twisted again. "What?" "No." Suddenly a loud crash cut through the tumult, and the nearby police car screeched to a halt. Officers jumped from their seats, weapons drawn, but it shattered the moment. In the confusion, Clara's gaze flickered to the other side of the street. Out of the shadows, a figure appeared, tall and confident, wearing a dark trench coat. It was a woman with piercing blue eyes that held a chilling familiarity. Clara blinked, heart lurching. "Charlotte?" The name slipped past her lips, a ghost from a past she thought long buried. "Hello, Clara." The woman's voice rang out, smooth and cold. "Like ice. I see you've met my brother Victor." A gasp escaped Clara. "Your brother?" It felt as if the ground was collapsing beneath her, sinking into a pit of uncertainty. The pieces clicked together in a nightmarish puzzle. "What's going on?" The officer's voice cut through the air, but Charlotte didn't flinch. "I came to collect what's mine," she said, her gaze shifting to Victor. "You've made quite the mess, haven't you?" What do you mean, Charlotte? Victor growled, his bravado slipping. This is my operation. But it's mine too, she replied, stepping forward with a predatory grace. You've underestimated everything, including me. Clara felt the chill in the air, the tension palpable, like a bridge on the verge of collapse. What are you talking about? Fear twisted tighter in her chest. Everything she thought she understood was splintering into pieces. Dread pooled within her as Charlotte locked eyes with Bill, her voice sharp as glass. And you, darling, always the pawn. The world tilted again, and out of nowhere, shots rang out. Bang, bang, bang. Clara ducked instinctively, heart racing. The echoes ricocheted in her ears. Run, Eva screamed. But the chaos erupted into confusion, officers shouting, Charlotte and Victor grappling for control, and Clara's mind spiraling. Clara, get away. Bill lunged toward her, but the moment stretched, tantalizingly slow. A flash of blue darted from the distance, a squad car bursting onto the scene. Hands up, ground now. In the haze of urgency, Clara caught a flicker of movement behind her. Charlotte's expression morphed into something sharpened with fury. You can't win this game, Clara, she shouted, eyes fiery. Clara's heart dropped as realization painted its dreadful picture. The truth clawed its way back to the surface, and everything unraveled in spectacular fashion, an unsettling force that twisted motivations and alliances. Clara felt the ground shift beneath her, and in that breathless moment, a sobering question crystallized in her mind. Who were the real players, and where did her allegiance truly lie? As chaos swirled, she realized that this was bigger than any of them. But right as the truth pierced through the night, another gunshot blasted, echoing in a burst of confusion and dread. Clara's world snapped into disarray. What just happened? Clara's heart pounded as the world around her exploded into chaos. Gunshots rang out, sending shards of panic slicing through the air. Bill's desperate shout echoed in her ears, urging her to focus, but everything had turned into a blur. The figures were grappling, the officers were shouting, and the rain poured relentlessly, blurring the lines between ally and enemy. Clara, get down, Eva screamed, pulling Clara low in her seat as another shot whizzed past. Clara's breath came in rapid, stuttering gasps. She could feel the weight of the situation pressing against her chest, squeezing tighter with each heartbeat. The truth was slipping away, and there was a storm brewing inside her, a tempest of confusion, anger, and fear. And then she saw it, a figure emerging from the shadows beyond, moving with chilling confidence. Clara squinted through the rain, dread clawing at her gut. What in the world was happening? It was another man, dressed in dark clothing, gliding through the chaos as if he owned the night. The police officers paused, guns aimed, but the chaos heightened again. The man raised his hands, palms outward. I'm here to help, he shouted, voice commanding. But it didn't feel right. Get away from her, Bill yelled, lunging to protect Clara. But the figure simply stepped closer, his eyes scanning the scene, anger simmering just beneath the surface. Bill, stand down. This isn't just between us anymore. Clara's mind raced. Who was he? A sense of dread wrapped around her as realization began to sink in. Familiarity tugged at her memories like a fraying thread. Wait, she could hardly breathe. Tom? Tom, her husband's college friend, the one who disappeared after Bill's supposed death. She hadn't seen him in years. Why was he here? Clara, he said, stepping closer, panic flashing in his eyes. You need to listen to me. Victor and Charlotte are not what you think. This has always been bigger than us. Just then, everything erupted. Another gunshot rang out, and chaos flooded the scene. The officers yelled commands, scrambling to maintain control as confusion reigned. Clara, move, Eva shouted again. But Clara felt frozen, pinned beneath a weight of betrayal and shock. You don't understand, Tom pressed, taking another step. We're running out of time. Victor glared from where he was grappling with Bill, a twisted smile on his lips. You two are pathetic, he spat, eyes glittering with malicious glee. Tom was always just a pawn in my game. In that moment, something inside Clara snapped. You've been playing games with our lives, she shrieked. Tears blurred her vision as wild emotions surged. You think this is a joke? But before anyone could respond, the sirens crescendoed, drowning out her words. Shadows danced against the flickering lights. More officers were arriving. Then it happened. Tom pulled something from his coat, a small device, and pressed it. A loud beep echoed, freezing everyone. You think you can play me? His voice suddenly cold. The truth is, we've all been players in a much darker game. The device blinked ominously, and then, without warning, a series of explosions erupted from the vehicles nearby. The ground shook beneath them, flames bursting into the night, illuminating the chaos in a hellish glow. Clara felt the heat on her skin, a visceral reminder of danger. Get down, someone yelled, but Clara barely registered it. The world spun around her, engulfed in a fiery glow, and the screams of confusion. As she fell to the ground, everything became a whirlwind. Then, shockingly, she heard Tom. You never knew the truth, did you? He said, voice steady. Bill had his reasons for disappearing. He wasn't just protecting you, he was part of this madness. Clara's heart dropped. Betrayal pooled in her gut like poison. What do you mean? She gasped, desperation clawing at her throat, but the answers were hidden in the chaos, buried under flames and shattered trust. As she lay there beneath the madness, the question lingered in the air. Had Bill ever truly been on her side? Was anyone? Time slipped away, and answers vanished like smoke. The storm was far from over. Clara's world had flipped, and she was caught in the eye of the whirlwind. What had she really stumbled into? The confusion deepened, and one thought screamed inside. Her mind, was she ready for the truth? Clara's heart raced as the world erupted around her, flames licking at the night sky and chaos churning through the air. Each deafening boom of the explosions shattered the night, echoing in a frenzy of screams and confusion. Her mind raced. What had she stumbled into? Even as she pressed herself against the car seat, torn between past deceptions and frightening revelations, a shadow loomed larger. It was Tom, the figure she once thought she knew, but now he seemed distant and ominous. The weight of his presence pressed down on her, and despair flooded her senses. Clara, you need to trust me, Tom shouted, but she felt something in her gut twist in rejection. Through the chaos, all she could think about was the devastation. Bill had faked his death, but why? Were any of them telling the truth? A harsh hand gripped her shoulder, shaking her back to the moment. It was Eva, wide-eyed and desperate. We can't stay here. We have to run. Amid the cacophony, another gunshot rang out, the pop sharp against the roaring flames. Clara flinched. The screams around them melded into a symphony of terror, enveloping her like a suffocating fog. Yet among the chaos, a sudden moment of stillness fell. They were all trying to regain control when the unthinkable happened. From behind the chaos, Charlotte stepped forward, eyes blazing. Enough, she shouted, her voice slicing through the fear. The crowd hesitated, stunned into silence for a heartbeat. Then the air shifted. It was a wild, crackling energy that thrummed between them. And suddenly, Charlotte raised her hand. You've all been pawns in this game. But just as Clara opened her mouth to speak, a figure emerged from the smoke. Another woman, tall and fierce with striking features, striding through the chaos like a force of nature. With a lethal glare, she locked eyes with Clara and spoke with commanding authority. Stop right there, everyone. The woman's voice was sharp as glass. But as she looked at Clara, a flicker of recognition passed. Clara, my sister. All the air rushed from Clara's lungs. What? The world spun, disorienting her. Sister. She didn't understand. Who are you? Your sister, Emma, the woman replied, stepping closer. You don't remember me, do you? No, that's not possible. Clara gasped, memories swirling violently in her mind like leaves in a storm. I never knew I had a sister. You are never supposed to find out, Emma fired back, contempt lacing her tone. I was sent to retrieve what rightfully belongs to you. Victor, who had been struggling against Bill, froze. The chaos everyone was engulfed in dulled as realization flickered through the crowd. "You're lying," he roared, his voice dripping with desperation. The truth pressed down like a weight. Clara felt the walls closing in, every angle sharp with anxiety. "You were part of this all along," she managed, her voice shaking. "But how?" Emma's expression hardened. "Because Victor plays a larger game than you know. It's not just about him. It's about a legacy, and you, Clara, are the last piece." As the words sank in, cold dread wrapped around Clara's heart. "Legacy? What legacy? What are you talking about?" "I'll explain everything," Emma insisted, glancing over her shoulder, frustration etched on her face. "But we don't have time. The truth will expose everything. Victor's entire empire is built on lies, and it starts with family." And with that, the world unraveled further. Clara felt her chest tighten, emotions crashing through her like a tidal wave. Could she really trust Emma? Just then, a crack of thunder rattled the air, echoing Emma's words like an ominous warning. The flickering lights, illuminating the faces of everyone present. There had to be a way out. In this world of monsters and faded memories, could the connection to her past be the key? Or would it lead her down a path into darkness? Clara's heart raced, trapped in a whirlwind of truths and half-truths. Emma, her sister, stood there, fierce and unyielding, as if she could carve a path through the chaos with just her presence. The flames crackled behind them, reflecting the tumult of emotions swirling in Clara's chest. "You were never supposed to find out," Emma said again, voice steady yet laced with urgency. "What do you mean?" Clara's breath hitched, each word feeling like a brick weighing down the truth. "What legacy? What do you want from me?" "I need you to come with me," Emma said, stepping closer. "There's so much that you don't know." But just then, the shadows shifted. An ominous figure emerged from the dim light surrounding the chaos. A man, hands hidden in the depths of a dark coat, swaggered through the smoke, eyes glinting with power. Clara's stomach dropped. "Enough of this family reunion." The man's voice cut through the noise. It was the last person she thought she'd see, Tom. But there was something off about him, a hardness behind his once familiar smile. "It's time for you to understand, Clara." "What do you mean?" she demanded, trembling. Tom sauntered toward her, an unsettling grin creeping across his face. "Emma's not here to help. She's part of the trap." The air thickened, dread pooling in Clara's gut, twisting tighter and tighter. "No," she whispered, shaking her head. "No, that can't be true." "But Tom," continued, his voice dripping with disdain as he glanced toward Emma. "Did you really think she just strolled back into your life? She's been playing you from the start." "Stop lying," Emma shouted, desperation piercing her cool facade. "I'm trying to help her." But the doubt had settled in Clara's mind like an unwelcome guest, and with every glance back and forth between them, darkness pooled deeper in her chest. "What is happening?" Before Tom could respond, another gunshot rang out, piercing the air. A police officer shouted orders, chaos exploding into a new frenzy. Clara instinctively flinched as the figure by the vehicle went down. Another casualty in this absurd nightmare. "Clara," Eva screamed, pulling her back. "We have to get out." But just then, as the smoke curled into the air, everything froze for a heartbeat. Clara felt the ground beneath her tremble, a new tremor igniting fear in her gut. In the chaos, the reality shifted, and without warning, the world flipped upside down. Tom pulled a small device from his coat pocket, something that glimmered ominously. "No games anymore, Clara," he shouted. "The truth is, we're all tied to Victor. This was all set into motion long before you ever found out about your sister." "What? What truth?" But the air suddenly crackled with energy. The device in Tom's hand glowed, pulsing like a heartbeat. A low rumble resonated through the ground, spreading panic among the officers. And then, everything imploded. The earth shook violently, splitting underneath them. Screams erupted as everyone stumbled to stay upright. Smoke billowed, obscuring reality, and the ground fractured. Clara felt her heart stop as she saw it. Caught in the chaos, the hidden entrance opened up where once there was nothing but concrete. "Come on, Clara," Emma shouted, but it was already too late. Tom pushed ahead, forcing a path deep into the opening as flames flickered at the edges, trying to consume all that was left. Clara felt an inexplicable pull draw her forward into the darkness. "They're all connected," a voice yelled from the depths of the swirl. "This is just the beginning." Fear and confusion wrestled inside Clara. Could she trust them? Was Tom a shrouded enemy posing as a friend? The walls of her reality felt like they were closing in. Just as she moved to follow, a hand grabbed her arm, yanking her back. It was Victor, wild-eyed and dangerous. "You won't escape," he bellowed. "Don't you see? It's all for you, Clara. And your sister, she wants something from you." "What?" "No." Clara backed away, heart pounding, caught between two worlds. But just as she turned to face Emma, the ground trembled violently again, and Clara's breath caught. Was this the end, or merely the start of a much darker game? With uncertainty swirling around her, one question loomed large in her mind. What was really at stake? And how deep did the deception run? Clara's heart raced, adrenaline surging through her veins as Victor's grip tightened on her wrist, terror flickering in his eyes. But before he could drag her backward into the unraveling chaos, she felt a surge of courage ignite inside her. "No!" she shouted, wrenching free. Her voice echoed through the smoke and screams, raw and defiant. "Clara!" Emma's voice broke through the haze, desperate and commanding. "We have to get out now." With a burst of energy, Clara turned away from Victor and sprinted toward the opening in the ground Ta had revealed. Flames roared and flickered behind her, casting eerie shadows on the figures struggling in the chaos. The ground shook violently, a reminder of the darkness that loomed, the game spiraling out of control. "Clara, wait," Bill yelled. But the urgency of the moment propelled her forward. She caught a glimpse of fear etched across his face, but trust felt buried under layers of betrayal. She didn't stop. She dove into the opening, the darkness enveloping her like a warm blanket as she plummeted into uncertainty. The descent felt eternal, fear gripping her throat, until she landed hard on a damp surface. The air thick with the scent of earth and decay. Ignoring the sting in her hands, Clara scrambled to her feet, squinting into the dim light. "Emma," she shouted, breathing heavily, the weight of uncertainty almost overwhelming. Just as fear threatened to spiral again, a reassuring hand clasped her shoulder. "I'm right here," Emma said, urgency threading her voice. "We need to move." They dashed through a narrow corridor, unsure of where it led, but driven by survival. Clara's pulse raced in time with her frantic thoughts, a cacophony of confusion and dread. Behind them, sounds of chaos intensified, as Victor's shouts mingled with the crackle of flames above. "Do you trust me?" Emma turned, her blue eyes fierce yet vulnerable. Clara faltered, doubt swirling again. But deep inside, she felt the flicker of hope. "We're family," Emma urged, stepping closer. "You deserve to know the truth." A sudden commotion erupted behind them, and Clara's instincts kicked in. "Hurry!" She dashed forward, adrenaline propelling her deeper into the shadows, racing down twisting tunnels. They stumbled upon a room filled with dusty files and old photographs, remnants of lives entwined in secrets long hidden. Clara's breath caught as she flipped through the papers, each name a ghost from the past. "This is it, the truth," she murmured, her fingers trembling. But suddenly, footsteps echoed from behind them, heavy and ominous. "Clara, Emma." It was Tom, pushing through the chaos with a look of fierce determination. "You can't hide from this forever. It's time for the truth." "Tom," Clara gasped, torn between relief and fury. "What do you want?" He stepped closer, eyes glinting with something sharper than loyalty. "To protect you." His voice cut through the tension, layering everything with an urgency that rattled her. "Victor wants control over you both, a power he cannot possess. But you need to stand together." Before the shock could settle, a tremor snaked through the ground, shaking the dusty room and echoing the uncertainty swirling in her heart. "We have to go," Clara demanded, fear sharpening her voice. Together, they lunged toward a narrow exit leading into the night, shadows fading behind them as they burst out into the cool, crisp air. The chaos of the world above still raged, but right then they were alive, together, even amidst uncertainty. "Bill," Clara shouted, scanning the area as the explosion of soaring flames illuminated the night sky. She spotted him, struggling against the remnants of the chaos. Her heart raced as she rushed toward him, feeling the urgency propel her. "Bill, come on, we have to go." He fought through the debris, eyes filled with something she almost didn't understand. "Clara, please," but before more words could be uttered, a whirling figure charged toward Bill with ruthless determination. Victor emerged, chaotic fury in his eyes. "You can't escape, Clara." Clara leaped between them, a protective surge washing over her. "Just back off." She stood there, heart racing. Then, in one defiant action, she faced Victor, voice steady despite the chaos threatening to consume them. "You've lost everything." In that moment, with echoes of the past swirling violently around them, something shifted. Victor faltered, his bravado crumbling beneath the weight of their collective defiance. "You think you can stand against me?" he hissed, but the uncertainty in his eyes flickered. "Together we stand," Clara declared. The bond with Emma and Bill came surging forward like an unbreakable shield. But it was Tom who stepped forward, a fierce fierceness radiating around him. "You'll never control anyone again, Victor," he said, voice fierce. "This ends now." The air thickened with an electric charge as the truth hung heavy in their hearts. Clara's eyes held his, unyielding. This wasn't just a battle, this was the culmination of their fight against deceit, a stand against a shared history. In one final act of resolution, the ground beneath them trembled and darkened, twisting reality into a fragmented reflection of their fight. "Go," Tom yelled, pushing them back as he faced Victor, a figure of strength amidst the chaos. With one last glance, Clara nodded to Emma and Bill, eyes burning with unyielding resolve. "Let's go." She turned, running away from the flames, toward the promise of redemption and truth, knowing this darkness would not extinguish their light. As they fled into the night, each step felt like the dawn breaking through, an end to the shadows lurking behind, a beginning forged anew. This would be the start of their story, a choice to embrace truth over betrayal. In the darkness ahead, they would face whatever came next, and with that, Clara took a breath, steadying her heart. They had survived the game, and this time they would play by their own rules. Then suddenly, a decisive voice rang out. "You have to subscribe right now, so you don't miss any of the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash that like button right now to feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your thoughts and theories about the ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see how this ends. Future adventures await, and your engagement makes all the difference. Let's keep this amazing community growing."